So the first is Peter Beck. So come on up, Peter.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Nice to see some familiar faces, haven't been here for a while, but anyway, it's good to be here. I thank you for the opportunity to address you today, Mr. Chair and councillors. I have the privilege of being the patron of the Avon Otakarau network, and I also represent the group called Eastern Vision, which you won't have heard of for quite a long time, but it's been about ever since the earthquakes. Post the September 2010 earthquake, grassroots communities across the city have been working to achieve positive outcomes to benefit the whole community. Indeed, the many different communities, or what you might call villages, that make up our cosmopolitan city. I recall, as many of you, a little guy called Evan Smith, God rest his soul, that great champion of the East and of community engagement. I remember him sparking off the formation of CanCERN. Remember CanCERN, some of you? The Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Network, bringing together a broad range of residents' associations, community action groups, which were springing up all over the city, and especially after February the 22nd. In partnership with the City Council, with central government, well, sometimes with central government, and with other statutory agencies, CanCERN, the Avon Otakarau Network, Eastern Vision, and many other like-minded voluntary associations have worked to establish a vision for the future of our city, and in particular for us, the East, both on land and water. And we're doing very well. Do you recall Share an Idea, all of you? A council-initiated project was very successful and gave a very clear statement about what sort of city the people of Christchurch wanted to build. For us in the East, amongst the dreams was the enhancement of green spaces, provide a worthy legacy for all we lost in the red zone. To develop a partnership between Ngā Tahu, Ngā Tururiri, the City Council and the grassroots communities to develop particularly a river park through the red zone. How we turn this devastating tragedy into an opportunity and vision for our future, the future of our children and grandchildren, and also to enhance the environment that we live in. We're kind of coming to the tail end of establishing the foundations of that shared vision as determined and agreed for in the regeneration plan, which I'm sure you always have a copy in front of you when you're sitting around this table. As a network, the Avon Otakarau network continued to advocate for grassroots representation on the co-governance body for the River Park. You'll have heard us from others, from members of our community talking to you about that in the past. And we are 100% in support of the Otakarau Orchard and the Food Resilience Network in their endeavours. The Orchard is the only community-led anchor project in the city, and here it is right in the heart of Christchurch. It's by the side of the river. It links the city to the river park and to all that's being developed and envisioned there. A place of tragic loss across the city in the east and destruction is being replaced by a place of hope and inspiration, a fit purpose, legacy for all those who lost so much. The Orchard and its buildings and purpose, right here in the heart of Christchurch, provides a window to the rest of the Otakarau Park and the food network around the city. It is and will be, if you like, a living brochure inviting people to spend time and enjoy this unique part of our city's life. Thank you for the support you have given over these past 14 years. It's not been without debate and difference, but we have come a long way together. And so it must continue. And I'm not here to advocate for a particular option that you've got before you in the report today, that's been given you today, though I could. So I won't. I'm sitting here to speak to you because, having been part of the dialogue these last 14 years, I want the cooperation and commitment to shared outcomes to continue. With this in mind, I'm emboldened to say that I think the report that you have before you today about the Food Resilience Network is disappointing and dismaying in its slant. To me, it shows scant respect for the people who make up the network, that network, and their supporters, like myself. But I hope also that you councillors have also read in your papers the Food Resilience Network they gave to the workshop that you had in February. The report, as I tell you before, you show scant respect for the ongoing commitment, advice, endeavour and sheer hard work of this group and others. And this sense of lack of value is, I am told, held by other voluntary groups in our area as well. I recall a proverb that we used often in the times of concern. You'll remember this, I'm sure. It was made by a guy called Harold Fleming. The wisdom of the local community always exceeds the knowledge of the experts. It highlights the collective power of diverse perspectives and experiences. It emphasises that the combined knowledge and insights of the community, derived from its members' varied backgrounds and experiences, often surpasses the specialised knowledge of individual experts. We need both. We need both City Council staff and community groups working hand in hand and respectful of each other. Now, I've been told there is a view amongst some on council, it's an apocryphal view, and among staff, that the local community, unfortunately, gets in the way of decision-making. Has any of you heard that at all? Well, I guess we do. And I guess that's democracy. And to that extent, I'm glad we do. At the end of the day, we're all of us wanting to achieve the very best we can for our city and embrace the values that you yourselves presumably embraced when you stood for election, as many of you will be doing later this year. I was concerned enough that I took it upon myself to catch up with Andrew Rutledge last week and was glad to receive an assurance that his door and those of his staff are always open to us and that all staff are held accountable for ensuring a positive and constructive dialogue and relationship with members of us in the grassroots community. That's all I want to say. Thank you for the opportunity to address you, and thank you for all you can do to support the mahi of people who, like Hayley Gilgeta here and others, are striving to achieve the vision that we share. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Peter. That's much appreciated. Good to see you. Okay, we'll go to Don Gould.
Take a breath. Anyone think I was about to launch into a Jeffrey King type rant on this? Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I shouldn't disrespect a fellow member of the community that way, but a few members get the joke. I support the staff recommendation on this one, though it's not a good one. This issue needs to be off the table, but this was the wrong way to go about it. The project is a grand design, and I'm sure all of you have watched more than one episode of Grand Designs on the TV and are familiar with the narrative. A grand idea is presented, the budget consistently seems under threat, the project timelines blow out, the bank may or may not lend the extra money asked for, and then the grand reveal. That shows us just how amazing the project was and why it had a place on the show. Grand Design is a TV show, but this isn't. This has been a project that was rescued by the people in the room today, that has followed the kaupapa of community involvement and will deliver the city an amazing facility that is, in itself, a work of art. It's already drawn international and local attention for design choices that include a massive green roof, solar energy, and composting toilets. As an example of how a community project should be funded, the proposal on the table today is a disaster. When looking at a project like this, you have to work backwards and ask some questions. What is the finished value of the project? In this case, more than $3 million. What is the actual build case? Less than $2.5 million. What is the total debt loading? Less than $500,000. And what does the project debt servicing look like? The project leaders have done their work and are confident that they can service the debt and make the project stack up, and the evidence that they're right is there, in my opinion. Council, on the other hand, have expressed a lack of confidence, and I think that's simply because they haven't looked in detail properly, because they simply don't have either the time or correct internal resources to do so. My preference as a ratepayer for the funding would have been to approve the requested loan of $350,000 to finish the project, though, as I understand it, it's only around $225,000 that's now actually required. And then the trust is asked to service the loans. If the trust's assumptions are shown to be wrong, which I doubt, but let's accept for the sake of argument, then the council consider debt consolidation and a different repayment option, and only as a last resort they consider forgiving part of the loans. At present, I don't see a case where all of the council's loans need to be written off. From the trust point of view, the recommendation on the table is a good one, but it's not a good deal for me as a ratepayer. I feel that this deal is simply trying to push the project off the council table and showing the trust the door. That's not good community partnership. It's harsh at best and quite disrespectful to both the trust and the council policy that as a ratepayer I've funded. I have looked extensively at the project. I've met with some of you on site and walked through the vision and the history. I've looked in detail at the numbers and questioned the assumptions, and in my view, the broad approach more than stacks up. This has been lazy governance to get to this point, and in some cases, putting these matters on public record is insulting and quite defamatory towards the people involved. I'm not impressed with the previous meetings that were pushed into public exclusion. The best deal for me as a ratepayer would have been to have quickly given the trust the loan that they asked for, a loan and the opportunity to prove that they can pay it back. However, of the poor offerings today on the table, I support the narrative that the staff recommendation is the best of the poor options, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Don. Does anyone have any questions for Don? No? Thank you for coming in. Much appreciated. Okay, so we'll move to the final deputation with Hayley and Murray, so welcome on up. And Hayley, do you want to start by telling me the not so good news that you told me outside? Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately this morning we went to site and it's been broken into. All our cameras have been stolen and our alarm system. So, and our keys. So, yeah.
So the alarm system
And the cameras.
So they're security conscious.
Yeah, they are. They are. So, yeah, and the keys. So we're probably going to have to change the locks today. I think they'll probably be after the cabling. Yeah.
Who knows? But either way, they'd be disappointed because there wasn't much in there of any value to pinch.
Thankfully, because we had Cook Brothers in the last month, and thankfully they finished up last week and had their tools removed. Phew. So that was good. So anyway, today, more admin. Yay me. Anyway, kia ora koutou. Thank you for seeing us today, and I'm really actually discombobulated, so I can't even remember what I was going to talk to you about. So anyway, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to do the workshop so that we could work with the staff to bring this report today, and quite frankly we just would like to get a decision so that we can move on unencumbered and get this job done and get it open, and I think Murray wants to speak.
Just along similar lines really. Whilst we've had through the course of this project probably an equal measure of delight and excitement and frustration and despair, we're at a point now where we're really close. We do appreciate the time that staff have taken to work through their concerns and with us develop the options that are on the table today. It simply remains for the elected members, who in my view have actually shown the project a lot of support and goodwill, to make a decision about which of them best suits council. Either way, we are confident that whichever one you pick will deliver us the resources we need to complete, either in combination with some external debt that we have options around, or a little bit less commercial debt than perhaps one of the other options. Either way, we're grateful to be here. Expedience is important to us, and all we really need for that is a decision. So thank you for that.
That's great. Thank you both. Yanni's got a question, and Tim.
Thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing, and obviously really frustrating what's happened this morning. Just in terms of the options, I just want to be really clear about the options on the paper between the recommended option and option 2, which is your preference and why, and then also if you have a response to the previous deputation who said that they didn't support us waiving the loan and ratepayer funding going into it ahead of your business case being tested.
I can talk to option 2. Is not quite how we thought that might land. What we discussed in workshop and post-workshop was that ideally option 2 would be endowment fund, and we keep the loan and then use that money to get it up and running so that we could then pay back the loan after we were, but it doesn't quite read that way. So that's a bit challenging. And then the second question, did you want to answer that? What can you just
Yeah, sure. So, look, to some degree, we never wanted to be receiving write-offs or grants. We think our commercial case is pretty good. I find it, well, it makes me smile when I consider that when the $150,000 community loan was advanced, the Honourable Mr. McDonald made the comment that, well, this will be more of a gift than a loan, and here we are, and that's where we're at.
Thanks, Sam.
And option 2, Hayley and I probably sat on different spaces around that. What it really offers us is an extra 100,000 of relatively rapid liquidity, which would mean we can kick off quickly rather than, well, as quickly as the process allows, rather than having to bolt on an extra 100k of debt. However, from a financial perspective, we're all comfortable with the level of debt that we will incur commercially, and we believe that our initial business case is only a small part of the ultimate offering that will develop on that site. And we believe that we will, in time, generate the sort of revenue that allows the FRN, the Food Resilience Network, to be self-sustaining and to be removed from, materially anyway, the requirement to be all over contestable grants, thereby making those resources available for others. Ultimately, we also hope that it will be so successful that we will be able to enter the grant space ourselves for organisations that share the kaupapa and community intent that we have. So, would the
That's
community...
great. I think you've covered that. That's fantastic. Well done. Okay, so look, thank you both for coming in. And what we might do is move to that paper now. I know we've got 3 people here. So thank you both very much. If you want to grab a seat, and we'll get the staff up to the table. You got a question?
Just happy to move the staff option.
Oh, okay,
It's in
cool.
the paper.
So
Staff rec, sorry.
we'll just note there are no petitions, and then we'll go to item 10. And we've got Gary and John here. Great. So hello. We can